and welcome to this week's special edition of In the Labs with me, Becky, and I'm joined by fellow Vectrician, Karen.
Hello, my name is Karen and I'm the Accounts and Administration Manager, and I've been working at Vectric for 9 years.
Today we're going to share with you our project where we're cutting aluminium artwork. So let's take a look at the software.
Okay, so let's go and open an existing file. So we've got the wallart.crv file, and this file can be opened within all of our core products. That's Cut2D, VCarve and Aspire. So here are all the vectors that I'm using to cut our wall art pieces out of. So these three panels here, just three rectangles where I've drew a series of lines that cross over each other, offset them both sides of the line, and then I've basically welded them together, created 4 hanging holes based on the diameter of the screw that I'm using to hang the parts up, and then I've just basically created 2 more copies like so. So I've got 3 identical parts here. Then this sunburst flower, we had an image that basically just manually trace around to create this kind of sunburst look, and again we've got holes in each corner there to hang the part up. So let's take a look at the toolpath. So I'll switch over to the toolpaths tab. Okay, so in my material setup, let's take a look at the form. Okay, so my material thickness is 0.1303, setting my XY to the lower left, Z0 is the material surface, and I've got appropriate Z gaps above my material, which are safe and appropriate for what I'm doing. So then I'll just go ahead and press OK. So only going to do 2 toolpaths here. One is the profile cutouts, that's just to cut everything out, and then we've got a drill toolpath to cut out our hanging holes. So let's take a look at the profile cutout. So you can see it's just picking up all of those vectors there. We're cutting all the way through the material using a 1/4 inch end mill. So let's just go to the edit option just to talk about some of the settings that we've got for this tool. Okay, so we're using a 1/4 inch end mill here. So let's look at the cutting parameters. So the pass depth, I'm doing this at 0.01. Okay, so I've run some test pieces at various pass depths, and this one was the most suitable for what I was working with. Then feeds and speeds. Okay, now my CNC isn't prepared for machining metal. I have no form of cooler, so I really need to look at spraying the sheet with lubricant and really take small cuts with low speeds for this to cut through safely. So I'm going in at 60 inches a minute with a plunge rate of 20 inches a minute. Okay, so we're cutting on the outside, and then that's basically going to cut that out for us. Then we have a drill toolpath. So if we just double click on the drill toolpath there, you can see it's picked up all of the circles that represent our hanging holes. So here we're cutting all the way through, and we are using a different tool here. This time we're using a 0.31 inch end mill. Use the edit option. Again, I'm going with the same settings as before, so 0.01 pass depth, 60 inches a minute with where we're plunging at 20 inches a minute. Okay, so we're going to use peck drilling here. So this is basically where we can cut down to our pass depth, and then we're going to retract back up. And this is really going to help us to remove those chips as well. So that's how we're going to drill into our hole. So we've got a retract gap of 0.0787, and that's basically it. So we can close out, and if we just go ahead and preview all of those toolpaths, we'll be able to see what our parts will look like. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So let's go and take those toolpaths over to our CNC machine.
Okay, so we are back in the labs. We've got our sheets of aluminium. We have literally covered the underside of it in double-sided carpet tape. We've left no area uncovered. We've turned it over. We've put it onto our machine bed, given it a good rub so it's firmly in place. It is not budging. I'm confident that this is going to be a good hold down method for us. I've used double-sided carpet tape in the past, and not had any problems. We're only doing basic profile cutouts. So talking of those cutouts, we've ran some test pieces earlier, and really the reason for that was just to find out the sweet spot, what feeds and speeds to use, what pass steps to cut down to, and we've done various different tests. And we found the sweet spot, which you saw in the software earlier, and that has enabled us to cut it down in 1/2 mil passes. We're cutting it at 60 inches a minute, and we've done it so that we cut through the aluminium, but we don't cut into the double-sided carpet tape. We don't want to gum up that tool. So we found that sweet spot, so we're pretty much ready to cut the whole thing out now. We are using a 6mm aluminium 2-flute carbide cutter to cut this out. So we're going to go and set up the machine, and then we'll catch up later on. Okay, so some things to think about in terms of your tool selection. Now, you really want to use an upcut bit. Why? Well, this is going to help the chips evacuate from the flutes and pull the chips upwards rather than pushing them down, where they can generate heat and potentially melt. You also want to make sure that you are using a tool that has a minimal number of flutes. So the tool that I'm using here actually has 2 flutes. So you really want to look at 2 flutes or less. Why do I say that? Well, the less flutes that you have, it will create bigger chips compared to, say, a 4-flute tool that will create smaller chips. And in metalwork, the preferred tool to use is one with minimal flutes. The less flutes there are, the more space that there actually is for those chips to escape. So really 2 flutes or less would be ideal. Now the tool that I'm actually using, you'll notice that it is coated. And what's it coated with? So it's coated with titanium aluminium nitride, and this helps chip evacuation because it has a much smoother cutting surface. One last tip is that you really want to make sure that you lubricate your sheet to help the chips escape. Now, I actually did a test without using any form of lubrication, and I noticed that the tool was eventually ripping up the edge, leaving my test with a nasty jagged edge. Why did this happen? Because I didn't use any form of lubricant, and the metal had actually melted onto my tool. So you can see that right there at the bottom, and because it's melted on, that's why it was tearing up my test piece. So make sure you use some kind of cooler or lubricant. Okay, so we've finally got all of the double-sided tape off the back of each one of our art panels. So that is the downside of double-sided tape, is that it's, you know, quite a lot of work to get off, but we've got it all off, so we're good to move on to the next step. Okay, so the next step is cleanup. Now, the larger piece at the top, Karen's actually going to go and get that powder coated in some nice funky colour, so we'll see how that turns out. However, in the meantime, for these little panels, I'm not sure how well you can see this on screen here, but we have quite a bit of cleanup to do. So we're going to look at cleaning the edges up using emery cloth to begin with, and then I'm going to sand the whole top surface of that using different grades of sandpaper, working my way up until I have a nice kind of matte finish. So we're going to get on with that, and then we'll catch up later. Okay, so we're out of the labs and Karen has done a fantastic job sanding up the aluminium. So we worked through the 3 grades. We started off at 320, moved up to 400, and then finally finished at 600, and that's given us a really nice, smooth, matte finish. That's worked really well. I've also decided to cut some acrylic sheets. So you can see I've got this baby blue colour, we've got a mint colour, and I think the colours work really well with the aluminium. So we've got the industrial look of the aluminium clashing with the cutesy pastel shades that we've got with the acrylics. It's really worked well. Okay, now Karen's has come back from the shop. It's been sandblasted, it's been powder coated, it's got a beautiful glossy colour on there and looks fantastic. Now the way that we're actually going to mount our artworks is by using these wall mounts. They're actually going to be offset from the wall, and this is going to look great on this piece because it's going to bring out the shadow behind the artwork. So we've learnt so much from this project. And in terms of machining, the things that we're really going to take away today is the tool that we're using, the feeds and the speeds that we need to set our toolpath to for cutting aluminium, and the fact that we really want to make sure we're lubricating our sheet when cutting this kind of material. Okay, so if you fancy having a go at creating your own aluminium artwork, then simply head over to your VCarve account where you can download the project files for the artwork that we're displaying here from there. So if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you've not yet subscribed to our channel, then please hit the subscribe button where you can get instant updates to the latest videos that we'll be releasing. So thank you for watching and happy making.